Hello and welcome to Jezza Reviews. Today we review The Big Short, and by we I mean me and my special guest, Fumi Shiomi.
Hello.
How are you today, Fumi?
Fine, thank you.
Okay. Today we're reviewing, as I said before, The Big Short. The Big Short is about the financial crash of 2008 and a group of people who took advantage of the coming crash, as they used their common sense to predict it based on the freely available knowledge they had. Let's talk about the comedy in The Big Short. The full breaks. What do you think of them?
Well, I found it quite interesting. Ryan Gosling, who was one of the main characters, took time out to explain to the audience the complicated structure of the deals that this film was concentrating on. They were quite complex monetary systems which any layman would find hard to understand, and actually, he did a very good job of explaining.
Yes, I thought the full breaks were wonderfully comedic, while being informative at the same time and really helping and aid the viewer in understanding what was going on.
Yes.
Yes, and you found some of it unnecessary, such as Margot Robbie in a bubble bath.
Well, I thought Margot Robbie was engaging as they intended her to be. But I think the way she ended her segment was rather rude for some of us.
Okay, I can understand where you're coming from. I found it overall funny, but it was appealing more to my demographic, I think, than yours. More to
I
men's
agree.
demographic than women's.
I agree.
Anyway, let's talk about the acting. I found it superb across the board. I found Christian Bale fantastic as the eccentric, brilliant man that he was playing, and Steve Carell as the gruff but caring man. I found those roles were the standouts, but also Ryan Gosling was great as the savvy, shrewd, and blunt businessman.
Yes, and I found Steve Carell's backstory very interesting.
Added another layer of depth to his character.
Yes, it was, and another dimension to the film.
Yes. And let's talk about the characters. I mean, we talked about it a bit. Let's talk about them more. They were very diverse, weren't they? And that's what kind of made everything interesting. How diverse the characters were.
Yes.
You especially like Brad Pitt.
Yes, I loved Brad Pitt in the role he played. I found him almost unrecognizable, playing the mentor to two young, upcoming potential billionaires. He was a rather reclusive mentor, and this was a really lovely role to watch.
And I found those young people who were surfing, they were done quite well. They were done in a way they had the enthusiasm that you would expect from young people, but also the worries and concerns coming into this new field and everything. Well, not coming into the new field, but what they were dealing with, the crazy circumstances.
In fact, I found those two young, upcoming prodigies to be two of the most endearing characters. They were quite likable. They were two of the most human characters in this film.
I agree. And let's talk about Christian Bale more. What do you think of him? His eccentric, brilliant character.
I found the journey he went on, whereby he was trying to convince people that something was going to happen, and against all the odds, the contrary was appearing to happen. I found that a journey which the audience was taken along with him. I found that quite touching. In the end, he proved to be correct, which was a relief. But it was quite touching to watch because this is someone who found it very hard to tolerate what was not perceived to be correct, and I think he portrayed that on screen quite well.
And Ryan Gosling, I found, even though he wasn't particularly likable, he wasn't supposed to be, and he worked very well because he was very entertaining as that savvy, shrewd, blunt businessman. I really liked him in this role, and I felt he was added comedic touches to otherwise quite dramatic and sad story.
Hmm. I found the moral of the story to be something that the audience had to try and digest and come to terms with, because even though we were taking on this journey with these four or more characters, and we were rooting for them to come through, but to root for them to come through meant that the common man on the street was going to be the loser in the end, because of course this was a true story.
Yes, I've heard many people coming out of this movie with kind of mixed emotions, and I agree with that because we were rooting for these characters, and they succeeded in the end, but the whole world lost. I mean it's quite an interesting experience to come out of this movie and have those mixed feelings. Also, the movie was a bit comedic sometimes, and the movie, the end of the story, they make it sound as they should. Depressing, tragic, sad, and you just have kind of mixed feelings coming out of this movie. It's quite a unique experience in that way, but a memorable one, and I think it works in the movie's favor.
I think the way it was delivered engaged the audience enough to find out what actually the financial crash was really about. And I do believe quite a few members of the audience would have been wiser for watching this film.
Well said for me. Thank you for listening to Jezza Reviews. This has been our review of The Big Short. Goodbye.
Goodbye.